Thank you. All right. Hey, people, man, look at that. We're famous. Not
That's
really.
right.
What up?
All right. What's going on? All right. So I can see that it's working. We're live on Facebook on my page. Hopefully it's the same on your guys' page, but to everybody viewing in, how you doing? All right, so go ahead, Veronica.
Yes. Hi. Good evening. It's so good to see both of you. And you know, it's so funny because it's our first time actually going live on each of our profiles. I went in to double check while we were playing that little video clip, and I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, it worked. But good evening, everyone out there. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could please let us know where you were tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you and see who has tuned in with us. If you're watching this on replay, please still do the same thing in comments of where you are joining us from. We always love to see who's tuning in and from where. But this evening you have joined us on Internal Monologue. Internal Monologue, and actually, Matt, I gotta pass it to you. But before we do, I just want to say that even though we serve, we're a part of different organizations, we got these side hustles. It's just a group of friends getting together and talking about life and real life stories and experiences here this evening. We are no part representing any of our organizations or side hustles that we are part of. So actually, Matt, I'm going to kick it to you with Win.
All right, so same thing that y'all been hearing from me and Tiki. Everything always comes back to the W, right? The win. Working hard, inspiring, and never quit. So, like, hey, thanks, Veronica, for kicking it off. Like she said, go to our new page, Internal Monologue. That's the new name. A little bit behind that is the whole reason we're doing this. We keep talking to you guys about how we're just
That's how good it is.
wrong, but it's how we see things. So we're hoping that we're getting a little bit of the same from you guys, but how all of us see things or view things, it all comes from that internal monologue, but that voice in the back of your head, right? It all comes back to that I am, right? And what finishes those two words of I am, that are you driven? Are you motivated? Are you suffering? Are you stressed? Are you depressed? Are you dedicated? So whatever finishes that off, that's usually what's that little voice in the back of your head, which for me half the time was Tiki. And that's why it was easy for us to kind of come up with a name like that. Tiki hit me up on the side. I was like, man, I'm hearing push. Push keeps going at me. So we started coming up with, all right, push, driven, what things work, and internal monologue was born, right? Plus Tiki likes those big words. So that's
Hey,
it.
can I piggyback on that too? So I think internal monologue is fitting based on our conversations and this platform altogether. I think if you think about it, I guess it can be loosely said that getting motivated is not that hard. I think most people can find motivation. What happens is motivation is only one piece, right? And you got to get on the other side of motivation to really uncover the commitment that it takes to get to the goal. So on one side, you've got motivation. On the other side, you've got commitment. In between, there's a conversation that takes place. In between, there's something that psychologically goes down that I think moves you from one side to the other. And I think if we are fair and honest with ourselves, we know that we struggle with the in between. So that's what the internal monologue is. It's those thoughts, those conversations that's happening internally.
Oh, yeah. I do not want to know what's going on in this head. I promise.
That's actually pretty exciting to when you put it that way, to be able to share with others some of our shared experiences and Matt, even like the story that you're going to share with us this evening with everyone else, because I think a lot of times that people do see it as I'm unmotivated, or how do I get motivated, or I need something to motivate me. But behind that, which is so much more powerful, is that internal monologue. So that's very powerful.
So for tonight's topic, that does bring us to tonight's topic, right? And I think that that's a perfect segue to it, because I think a lot of time that internal monologue, that voice in the back of our head, is what stops us or what slows us down, and that's because of the outside sources that are what we're always thinking about. So tonight so I did a little play on words of present, right? Because it's gift giving time. Merry Christmas, right? All right, so it's gift giving time. So I did a little play on words, presence, but it's more about being present, right? And who is and who is not present in the moment, at that moment. Because I believe that most people are not. Most people will say, "Oh, I was there, I was present," but they really weren't, right? They probably had 1,000 things happening at that moment that they could have found to be happy about, but they're thinking of outside stressors, outside life involvement, things that they got to take care of later, or things that just happened to them, is actually what's going on in their mind at that time. Instead of being present of, I'm sitting down eating with my family. Other people don't have this opportunity, or, oh, this stinks because this just happened, but I'm here with these people that I love. You know what I mean? And people forget to be present with what they have and what they're going through right there at that time, instead of thinking of something else. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So that's what tonight's about. So I'm gonna go ahead and segue into so I normally don't, I'm not a big, I try not to be, at least, a big bragger and stuff like that. But tonight I have to be 100%. I'm going to brag on my daughter, right? So, and it'll all come back around full circle. But so my daughter, or everybody knows about the tornadoes that just happened, that tore across so many towns and destroyed so many families' houses, a lot of their lives, took a lot of lives, cars, and so on and so forth. So my daughter was watching a TikTok video of all things, right? Which normally I'd be like, you're not learning nothing on it, but it's showing things that happened throughout the tornadoes. And at the end of the video, it says most people will watch this and then turn it off and do nothing about it afterwards. So my daughter woke up the next day, was like, I got to donate money. So she donated. My daughter's 16. She's been working since she was 15, but she saves up her money and stuff like that. 16 years old. She donates $50 to the Red Cross, right? Which is awesome. That's amazing. But then she's at school and she starts messaging my wife talking about, that's not enough. Like, what's $50? You know what I mean? If I'm a kid and I just lost everything right before Christmas, it's devastating me. I want to go to Toys for Tots. I want to dedicate, or I want to get a bunch of toys and give them to the give them to the kids that lost a bunch of stuff, right? So as soon as I start hearing this stuff, I ain't gonna lie, I'm start going crazy in a good way. Like, I'm start reaching out to people. I got to get a hold of some families that we can reach out and touch. Unfortunately, I was able to find a family that's got 6 kids, 4 of them foster kids, right? I'm not going to put all their business out there, but mother's going through her own medical issues that she's taking care of. Unbelievably great family, lost everything, right? Some of these kids are like 5, 7, 2 8-year-olds, and then 2 17-year-olds. One of them was adopted like 6 months ago, and didn't come from much at that point. When you're adopted at 17, there's a lot of life situations that go through to get you to that point, right? So my daughter spends pretty much all of her savings and goes out and buys a ton of presents. My daughter and her friend, right? So she talks her friend into it. Once again, amazing young girls go out and spend all their money and get a ton of presents to take down to this family. I had a ton of people start donating money. My wife put it on her Facebook page. I had a ton of people start donating money, a bunch of family and friends to help give to the family. Obviously, so one of my side hustles, okay, it's time to really, really beef this up and donate. So we take it down there And we give this family a Christmas, right? We load up our Jeep with, to the brim with as much as we have. And then plus I was able to give them a bunch of gift cards to go out and spend and buy on anything else that they need and stuff besides toys. We took a bunch of clothes that were donated from some friends, close friends and stuff like that. We actually still have some household goods like furniture and stuff that we're going to be taking down there. But when we're down there and giving them those toys, there was a moment, right? So it was about being present. There was a moment when the 17-year-old that was recently adopted opens up one of the presents, and it's this one of those little cameras that takes a little bitty pictures and stuff like that. That most kids would just be like, "Oh, this is great," or whatever. You would have think she won the lottery, right? When she opened it up, it's stuff like that that makes you think about, like, no matter how bad you think you have it, trust me, you don't have it. Like, somebody's got it worse. Somebody's got it worse. Not to say your situation can't be better. I'm not trying to put down people's situations. I'm sure some people are going through some really rough times. Find the good piece. Find the good piece. Hold on to it, and then work towards making it better. But if you can't find the good, you're never going to make it better in the first place. If you can't be present in what is going on, if you're homeless, right, there's going to be a sunny day. Can you be present in that sunny day? Stuff like that. Makes sense?
That's absolutely dope, man. Any plans to go back down?
Yes. So it'll probably be after the new year. One of the a girl in the Navy with us, she's donating like all her household good stuff. She's downsizing anyway, so she's getting rid of a ton of different stuff. And I've got some other people that are giving a bunch of stuff. We're going to rent a U-Haul. If we can't find someone that has a couple trailers or something like that and some trucks, we're just going to rent a U-Haul and drive it all down there. So it's probably going to be like the first week of January or something like that. But we're going to get because they finally got the family now has a place. They have a place. So that's another thing. When we went down there to see them, there's a husband, wife, and 6 kids in a hotel room. Now it's one of those hotel suites, right? So it's got 2 little connected rooms, but in a hotel room, you know what I mean? But they have a place now. They're not living there yet because there's no furniture in there, but they're getting some extra stuff. We gave them some money that would hopefully help with some of that as well. And plus we do have furniture that's coming down there. We're just right now, unless we can get some trailers and stuff like that soon, right now getting a U-Haul is kind of, we got to work on that piece.
So how can others help? I know you didn't necessarily tell the story this wasn't about like trying to get others to get involved and help, but what's very inspiring is, and I'm sure you can relate, is that if you see somebody as simple as picking up something that fell on the floor, a piece of trash on the floor, you're kind of like, you're inspired to do good, right? Or to do the same thing. So how can others help out as well?
Well, I'll tell you, so anybody that really wants to help, if you'll DM me on the side, but I'll tell you right now, so this family, which like I said, we went down there and met them. They're amazing people. Love them to death. They were great people. And I was very blessed in the fact that we got to help this family. But there's so many, after these storms, there are so many families going through the exact same thing. I will find you a family. You want to start donating, you want to give help, I'll find you a family that needs help. I guarantee that. I will do whatever it takes searching wise. If I can't get a hold of someone on the phone, I'll get in the car. I don't care. I can find you some families because there's way too many that need help right now that are, lost everything. You know what I mean? And at this time of year, like this is the worst time of year that you have people wanting to have going through a negative time in their life, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, message me on the side. I'll get a hold of somebody down in that area to where we can donate, or you can just, if you don't want to put in the work, I'm sure you have a lot going on too. I'll give you the memo and I will show you where I'm spending it. And I will make sure that you can see exactly where it's going. But yeah, thanks for that. but that's not what this show's about. So,
Good stuff, man.
yeah, no, it's I ain't gonna lie, man. I had to brag a little bit, even though I'm not trying to. This was not a me thing. This was my daughter inspiring me. You know, I'm supposed to be teaching her, and she's
Right.
teaching me once again. And this is something that, you know, it is something I plan to do every year now. There's so many families I'm sure during this time that are you know, foster kids or whatever, families that just don't have as much. I plan on every year trying to make at least giving them some sort of something that makes their day better, you know?
All right.
So,
but let's look at that. Let's look at that situation, and it can be on the topic that we on tonight as far as being present or whatnot.
yeah.
All right. So we started this conversation out kind of talking about going from motivation to commitment, right? And that internal dialogue that takes place in between. So in the case of your daughter, I'm sure she probably saw something on TV, she read something on the news or reading on social media or whatever, something that inspired her, something that motivated her to want to do something about it. But let's be honest, I'm sure somewhere in her mind, she had to be rationalizing the idea of how impactful she could be, right? Like, what kind of dent can she really make? She's just a kid, right? She may only have a few dollars in her savings account. So she had to go through this wrestle. She had to go through this internal dialogue with herself to move past just the fact that I see something or I see an opportunity to do something and I'm motivated to want to do it, but I got to fight past whatever those things are that are telling me I can't or I shouldn't or it won't be enough, and move to the other side where I'm committed to where hell or high water, whether I'm the only one that goes out here or the little drop I have in the bucket causes a whole daggone tsunami. She was committed to see it through, right? And I think we can all take a little piece away from just that story. In our own backgrounds, in our own scenario, it might not be the victims or the survivors from this latest tragedy or whatever. Maybe it's in your own home. Maybe it's with your own family, with your own kids, you know, and you have this motivated idea of how you would like to spend the holidays or how you would want to be, how you would want to spend the Christmas time with them. But then you're wrestling with relationships that might have broke down over the course of the year. You wrestling with things that internally, you know, you battling in yourself, right? And you got to figure out, am I going to let that keep me from, you know, coming together with my family, keep me from bonding with my children or whatever? Or am I going to move to the other side of commitment to hell or high water, regardless of what it looks like? I got to follow through with this. And I think that that's really just speaking to what this platform is about. It's about not only helping us as we talk back and forth, because I'm going to be honest with you, when I get off, what we do on here is really tools I go practice. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to get up here and be a spokesman or a preacher. More or less, I'm coming on here to get some water for myself. You feel me? But if there's any takeaways or any goodness in it, I think we all can see there's somewhere in that middle that we can wrestle and come to the conclusion and get to the other side of commitment to follow through, whether it's spending time with your loved ones or it's going down to the homeless shelter and doing something that you say you was going to do 5 years ago.
So the biggest piece for me, I'll tell you, taking away, speaking of the, like I said, being present in the moment, was when we were down there spending time with this family. It really, like, talking about taking away from something, like, you could tell that they had found a way as a family that in the midst of losing everything
Sure.
at this time of year, they were still enjoying the fact that I lost everything. Wait a minute. No. Guess who I'm spending time with right now? My kids. Other people lost those. My husband, my wife. Other people lost that. You know what I mean? So they had found, you know, sometimes it takes finding that good through all the bad to realize I really need to be more present with what I do have. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't take me losing my house or my car to appreciate sitting down with my family and eating dinner. But that's what usually happens because of the stuff that you're talking about, because I do have all these things going through my head. And I understand that you were talking about it in a little bit differently. You're talking about the stop and go between doing something or not doing something. But I'm just talking about living in that moment sometimes, like with whatever you have. You know what I mean? Like, every night I have a chance to eat with my family. And I ain't gonna lie, half the time that I'm doing that, like, my mind is somewhere else, not on purpose, right? but I got to bring myself back to being present in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So that was my biggest takeaway from the whole piece of it is the like in the midst of everything they lost, like you you wouldn't hardly tell by the way they acted how blessed they acted from the situation. Like they just had everything taken, and they're talking about how blessed they are
Right.
from everything that happened. Like,
Right.
You know what that also comes from? Like, we talk about that there's sometimes, you meet these people in life that they seem to come off as being unhappy or ungrateful. And then you see those who have this sense of gratitude, right? You talk about living in the presence. So I heard something earlier today on this podcast. It's these tips of how is it that you can, like we talk about when, right? How is it that you can show a sense of gratitude? And it's really just kind of taking a step back. And they said, just stop what you're doing for a moment. Take a look around your environment. Take in all of the senses, the sights, the smell, what you have around you, who you have around you. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have family in your life? And you kind of take this deep breath in of the sense of gratitude, right? Of what you do have as opposed of what you don't have. And I think that is one of the key elements of also being present. So what would you guys say are some tips for people who maybe kind of put too much focus and maybe not even realize that the things that they don't have? What would be some helpful tips that you can give others to living in the moment or learning how to be having that sense of gratitude?
you want to Tiki or?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Go ahead.
So as you was talking, something came to my head, right? And I guess you could look at it and call it a tip. Okay. It's not about what you lost. It's about what you still have. It's about what still remains. And I think that we find a way to calculate that as opposed to taking stock of what we lost, then the gratitude, the appreciation, the contentment, all of that will set in as it should. So what am I saying? I'm saying take stock, take the calculation, ante up what you still have, not what you lost.
That's good stuff. So I don't ever like following Tiki when he speaks, but just because it always sounds better than what I say.
Come on, bro.
But so with me, it's I almost say start simple, right? So start simple. Like it is, I think being present is one of the hardest things in the world. It is for me, right? I see myself as a very driven person. I am all about that internal monologue that we've been speaking to earlier of I'm always looking to punch that dark thought in my head that's trying to stop me. I'm always looking to punch it in the face and keep driving through, right? But that causes me a lot of times to keep from being present in the moment with what I have, right? So it's easy for me to do when I'm working towards what I'm driven and trying to become. So at the gym, working on this type of stuff, it's easy for me to be in the moment because it's what I'm working on, it's what I'm driven towards. But when I'm with family, which what matters the most to me, when I'm out and about with friends, a lot of times, which matters even more to me, a lot of times I forget to be present in that moment. So I'd say, keep it simple, which means sometimes it practice. I went to this school called Mind, Body, and Resiliency Training a while back with the Navy. And one of the things they taught us was they had us close our eyes and they gave us some food to eat. And they just wanted us to think about how the food felt, how it tasted. What did our mind think about while we were eating it? Right. Like they had us break it down as like, while we're eating it, how do we feel in our chair? Stuff like that. Now I understand that's breaking it down way simple, crazy, but doing simple things like that. That's why a lot of people believe in meditation, which I'm not trying to tell you to go and or whatever, but I mean, that type of stuff does help, but simple little stuff like that will help you be more present in the moment of, okay, if you just do it for 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, think about what you're doing exactly going on. And then remind yourself to have that same feeling when you're, out with family, out with friends, sitting down and having dinner. And then a lot of times I have to go back to that moment and think about, I've got my kids sitting right across from me right here. I got my wife sitting right across from me right here. You know, and try to really be in that moment. So that would be my trick, I guess, trick of the trade.
Yeah, those are both some great inputs there. And as you both are speaking, it reminds me of, you ever caught yourself, I know this has happened to me, or have seen this happen, and not this part hasn't happened to me, but I see this a lot when you go to a restaurant out to eat with your family, and you look over and there's a family there and everybody's on their phone and no one's talking to each other. Well, sometimes what happens to me is, like, maybe my family and I were all in the living room hanging out or just chit chatting, and a lot of times we'll just take out our phones, and then I have to catch myself, put my phone down, and or tell my kids and all of us, okay. And there was at one point I even had a basket. We have a rule, no phones at the dinner table, right? Because it's about having a conversation with each other, and we're talking about, it's Christmas time, being in the moment, being present, right? So have you two seen any of that? Has that happened to you? And what do you do to make sure that you are in the present, you're in the moment?
Go ahead, Tiki.
Nah, so I'm gonna tell you, it has not happened for me to the degree that I wanted to. But I'll share a story with you. So I'm 19 years old. I'm in Rhoda, Spain. I think this might have been my second deployment, and I'm out at night, you know, doing what you do when you're out at night. But I'm walking back to the base. It's probably like 10 o'clock. And as I'm walking past the base, walking towards the base, anybody who's ever been over to the area, you know, a lot of the streets are still old. They're still cobblestone streets and things of that nature. So you get this whole little, you know, nostalgic feeling or whatever being over there. So I'm walking back to the base. And the important part is I walk past this cafe. And when I go past this cafe, I see this family that's sitting outside. Now, mind you, it's about 9, 10 o'clock. But I see this family that's sitting outside the cafe, and it is a huge family. Like, you can tell they deep. I don't want no smoke. But you seen everybody from the smallest baby that probably was just born a few months ago to what appeared to be the patriarch of the family, this older guy, you know, big belly, sitting back, got the pants pulled all the way up to his, to his navel. But what resonated with me, what I really took away as I was walking back to the base, was that the fact that they was able to find time to bring that entire family together for what looked to be one dinner, but it also looked to be commonplace. It didn't look like everybody was super excited, like this is some, you know, first appearance in a year. It looked like a routine. It looked like a habit. And it made me think about my own life at that time. And it's like, man, we don't do stuff like this. And then, you know, just thinking as far as having my own children, whatever, it's like, man, I would love to one day be able to be in that kind of a present space to where something like that is not a coincidence. It's a commonplace.
I like it. So yeah, there's so many times that I look around the dinner table, whether I'm out with my family or friends or whomever, and everybody's on their phones or some junk like that, right? So I'm not going to sit here and act like that don't happen, because it does.
Right.
And a lot of times it's me, right? I'll be on my phone, whether it's for work or whatever. I'll be looking at, you know, sometimes I'll be looking at Alabama football stuff or whatever, Roll Tide. But I ain't gonna lie, there's been quite a few times that, like, my daughter, or when the other two lived with us before they grew up and moved out, they would, like, all right, one of them, is usually one of my two daughters, would be like, all right, everybody put their phones down. And then I'm like, oh, my bad, my fault, good catch. And I'll do that every once in a while, right? But I don't do it as much as I should, but usually it's because, you know, if I ask them to get off their phones, then I got to deal with them once they do, and they get all angry and stuff like that. So, no, that's something that's the piece, right? That's the piece that I hope to get better at. And I think I'm hoping that I can not only do myself, but get my family to do. And I'm pretty good about, well, not pretty good, I'm decent at having those moments where I'm thinking about, sit back and have that aha moment of, like, dude, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? Look at what you got. Enjoy it. I have those aha moments, you know. And usually what I do is I have that voice in the back of my head that talks myself out of saying something to them. I just enjoy it with them instead of saying something to them about enjoying it as well. Like, hey, get off your phones or whatever. Cause I'm like, well, hey, don't be a hypocrite. That was just you 10 minutes ago. But just enjoy it and let them live it. But that's something I should probably start telling them too. Is like, hey, let's just enjoy each other right now. Keep your phone down, whatever. But yeah, that's it.
I think that phone's a big distractor. All right, I had to give my daughters permission to check me. So I let them know, look, if you see me on my phone and it's a moment that you try and get my attention or something like that, you got my permission to, be like, hey, daddy, snap to it. I'll tell you, one of the things that I do best is multitask. And that's a complete lie. I suck at multitasking, right? So I'm garbage at it. And I know that I cannot walk and chew bubble gum. That's not my specialty. So I really have to be cognizant of that. And so I tell my daughters, man, look, if you don't have my attention, if I'm not present, you talking, or we sitting around the table eating, whatever it is, then by all means, let me know. But I like Veronica's ideas, stuff like that, just practical things that you can do, like everybody silence your phone, put them in a basket. Shoot, my family, you probably would have to put them in a basket, put them in a lockbox, dig a hole out back and put them in to keep everybody from running over just to see what the alert was that went off. But I like the idea. That's what's up.
Yeah. So, Matt, were you going to say something?
No.
Oh, so if you're just joining us, we were talking about, because it's Christmas time, being present. And Matt shared with us this amazing, powerful story about how his daughter decided to make really a huge difference in this world, in somebody's life, in a family's life, and how it's just kind of trickled down and inspired many others, right? Including the proud parents and all of us actually here this evening. And then we talk about these internal monologues of being present, right now, we just got done talking about being present in the moment. One of the biggest challenges that we've had recently in this new day of social media or cell phones, right? Being present in that moment. So I have a question, probably one of the last questions, and I'm just being mindful of the time with everybody. But have you developed habits for yourself or your family when we talk about being present in the moment? And I'll go first, and I'll share one of mine, my family's. Every Friday night, we have what's called pizza and movie night, right? And we take turns deciding on where we're going to get our pizza from, whether it's homemade or a certain brand, right? And then we choose the movie to watch together. So that's just one of the traditions that we have, amongst others, to make it a habit of spending family time and quality time with each other. So Tiki or Matt, whichever one, whoever would like to go first, do you have any of these habits that you want to create for you and your family, or that you have, or that you once had?
So, well, I can't speak too much about mine because it can kind of goes into what they're getting for Christmas. But yes, I'm definitely trying to create more, because my kids are older. Like one of mine's 22, the other one's 20. They live hours and hours away from us. So we are definitely trying to make more times where we can get together as families, more situations that we can get together as family. We were able to do it last year, take a trip down to to Disney, and spend quite a few days down there and hit up SeaWorld and stuff like that. So, and actually during times like that, when I set aside time to do stuff with family, especially, it's a lot easier for me to find myself in the moment. Actually, Christmas time is the time usually where I find it easiest to be present. One of our favorite things to do I got perfect answer for that. One of my favorite things to do at Christmas time is we will sit down there on Christmas Eve night, because we do a big whole Christmas Eve thing with my parents' side of the family. And my son, who is amazing at pretty much anything he picks up instrumental, will sit down there and usually play the guitar or something like that. And he'll just play, we'll do like not a trivia, but like a guessing game of what he's playing, like whoever gets it quickest. And he'll play something, and we'll have to guess what the song is or whatever, or we'll name a song. And even if he doesn't know it, he'll look it up real quick and be able to just play it. Just being around there for that piece of it is usually right around my favorite time my favorite things to do, pretty much, period. That and when we're all together watching Alabama football, that's always a really big thing for me as well. So
Give everybody time to cry together. That's always good.
happy tears, baby, happy tears.
Understandable. Man, I'll tell you, for me, man, there's 2 times during the year that I'm purposeful about that being present, and that's during the month of June, and then at Christmas. So for June is special because all of my children, I got 4 girls, right? But they all were born in a 45-day window. So what we do is everybody gets their own little celebratory cake or whatever, but we pick a date that's kind of in between of everybody, and we will do something that year that is super extravagant, that everybody can join in, that cuts off every external distraction, and we really just do us. I think last year or this June that just passed, we just all hopped on a plane and went down to Orlando to a resort and just spent 5 days together. For Christmas, a few years back, we came up with a grand idea to stop spending as much money on gifts and stuff that is gonna break, crack, or be a distraction within a week, and use that money again to go do something. So we started doing cruises. We started taking trips together as a family. I think those are always positive opportunities for us to do things that matter most, to create those memories. Because I'm gonna forget what I bought you 5 years ago for Christmas, but I won't forget, the trip that we took to Jamaica. You know what I mean? I won't forget the Cancun, ATVs we rode on. You know what I mean? And things of that nature. So those are moments that I purposely try to make it present. But I would be honest in saying that I would like to find smaller moments. Maybe moments that don't cost me so much.
And that's the thing, is it shouldn't take these big moments, right, to make
Real
us
tough.
find a way to be more present.
Yeah.
It usually does. You're right. I'm the exact same boat. Like when we go on trips together, like I find myself being a lot happier in the moment. And that's the problem. That's the problem, is it takes us creating moments when we don't have to. The moments are there daily. My daughter just walked downstairs on 2 very healthy legs, right? To do some laundry, which is something else I should be very blessed about, that she's doing laundry, right? But we're able to cook on on good appliances, our own dinners, and sit down and eat together. And it's that type of stuff that happens every day that we forget to be present in, right? So I just want to ask, Tiki, is your anniversary like in September or something?
No, it's actually in November.
Why? What happens in September? I don't know, because all the birthdays.
Yeah, real talk. Like September is September's a tough time for the kids, man. Yeah.
All the birthdays were right around the same time.
Yeah,
9 months.
You would have thought I got hip to that, but yeah, clearly I was naive. Yeah.
My wife ruined Valentine's Day for me because she was like, "Baby, when's your birthday?" She's like, "Count back 9 months." I'm like, "Don't talk to me no more. Don't talk to me." So, but
that's funny.
Yeah, no, it's really not. But that's what I'm talking about, is finding those daily, hourly, minute moments that we have. I mean, like, and I say it all the time, and I'll probably continue to say it, right? But because it's my way of talking people through it and saying, hey, life's gonna, right? Nothing's gonna hit you as hard as life. Nothing. Mike Tyson can punch you straight in the face. He ain't got squat on what life is going to hit you with, right? Nice. Life's going to punch you in the face. Life can be a mother like that. It really can. Mm-hmm. And I'll keep preaching that because there's a lot of truth to that. And it helps people find that motivation, not hold it, but find that motivation to get started again, right? Because you can't reach your goals if you don't start, right? You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. But on the same note, right? Because life can be crazy. Life is hard. Life stinks. Life is ruthless. It'll take a life. It'll take a house. It'll destroy your car. It'll, on a rainy day, you'll get a blown tire, right? So life can be ruthless, but people always talk about that. How about life can be amazing, right? Like I got a hug today from my daughter. You know, you had a kid today. You know, all that stuff's life as well, right? You saw an amazing, the sun set and the sky was beautiful. That's life as well. But we forget that piece of it. And I don't speak to that piece of it half the time. I'm always talking about, hey, life's gonna be ready. Let's go.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is more times than not, life is actually freaking beautiful. Life is amazing, right? If you'll take the time to see that piece of it. But because we're always preparing for the punch that life is bringing you, and I'm not saying don't prepare for it because that's what I'm all about, but don't prepare for it so much that you forget to enjoy what you really have in life and being present in that moment when the good things are happening. When your kid hugs you before they leave for school, when you get that, when you make it to work safely, stuff like that happens on a daily basis that we just take for granted because that stuff's not happening to everybody else. They're getting hit from that other piece of life, which I'm not saying don't prepare for, but don't prepare for it so much that you can't be present in what's good. And I'm speaking to myself here more than anything. But that's the big piece for me is forgetting to be present with what we got. Coming up on it. Coming up on that time, guys.
That's right. As you were talking about, what just reminded me is that I have to be very intentional about, like, if I'm on my phone or if I'm doing something and my kiddos either come home from work or I'm cooking dinner and they want to talk to me, is to put down what I'm doing. Of course, if I'm like cooking, but to be very intentional in making sure that they know that I'm listening to what they're saying. I want them to know what they're saying is important to me, because what I don't want to happen is that as they get older, I'm fighting for that. Like, tell me how your day is, or let's talk. And I get the door closed, or like, fine, great, So I intentionally make sure that they know that when they want to talk and they have something to say and tell me about their day or something happened at work, that I am 100% giving them that attention. So I think that being intentional about being present is a big part. And when you talk about some of the things to be grateful for or things that we have in our lives and the people that we have in our lives, I think what definitely works for me and helps me out is that when I'm laying in bed and I wake up, my eyes open, I just really take a deep breath and I'm just grateful for one, waking up, and then two, just waking up with all the people and the things that I have in my life, really my family that I have in my life. So
yeah.
I love that.
Oh yeah. Sounds like you have a lot better grip on it than I do. But I'm working on it.
I'm working on it every day.
Oh yeah. What about you, Tiki? You have any final remarks before we start saying our goodbyes?
Man, everything's about perspective, man. I think that's what we're talking about tonight. We're just putting things in perspective. It's easy to get caught up in what we see and what's going on and start to maybe create some negative narratives. But I said it earlier, man, we got to not concentrate so much on what we may not have. I think the honesty of it is that whatever it is that we're complaining about, there's somebody right now that's praying for that. Somebody that would give anything to be in that position. And I think that can help us, like Veronica said, take a breath, look at things from a grander picture, man, and maybe come out of that stoop that you may be in where you're thinking of woe is me because of something that you feel like you've lost or don't have. Because I think we all, if we're honest with ourselves, we have far more to be grateful for, man. Especially at this time of the season, man. It's a good time to be taking stock. It's a good time to be thinking about that. It's a good time to evaluate all that we've been blessed to have, man.
You couldn't have said that better. It's really everything in life is how you want to look at it. Like you said, it's a lot of the things that people complain about, other people wish they had, and that can be broken down to like people complain about having pain in their legs when there's people out there that can't feel their legs, and that's to the very, very extreme, but that's also my way of saying, like, how hard do we work to find the positive, right? And to be present in it. So yes, tonight, obviously with our win, it's all about we're hoping we're inspiring some of y'all to be more present, especially during this time of year. Be more present with the people that you're around. Be more present with what you do have, not with what you're receiving, right? But with what you have already, right? I'm inspiring, or we're inspiring a bunch of y'all to, want to be more present in your life each and every day, right? We're not trying to take you away from your drive, from your motivation. We're not telling you your internal monologue should keep you from pushing towards your goals. We're hoping that we're reminding you to take the moment, and when things are rough, and instead of seeing what is rough and seeing what is bad, instead see what you have, and find the good. Because I promise you, if you look hard enough, it's actually probably standing right in front of you. All right. With that, if y'all don't have anything else, Veronica, you got anything?
I know we're getting ready to close it out. So I just want to say that there's a couple things, right? If for whatever reason you find yourself not feeling too good, or just having a tough time, whether it's depression, just things not going well in your life. One way that's helped me out in the past is by volunteering or helping somebody else out, or even just connecting with somebody in your circle, or just if you think about somebody, they pop up in your mind, shoot them a text message, just maybe how they're doing, or just checking in with people. So that's what's worked for me when things aren't going too well, or I wasn't feeling it. So I just wanted to share that and encourage somebody to try, or anyone to try any of those things.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for that. Tiki?
That's great advice, man. No, I echo what Veronica said, man.
100%.
Best way to get over yourself, help somebody else.
All right. So we'll end on that. So please, once again, next time we'll probably be streaming straight from Internal Monologues page. So please go give it a like, go follow the page. We'll be putting more stuff on the page besides just the video. So please go check it out. And hopefully next time we'll just go live from that page. So we'll have more people following it. Besides that, we hope that y'all have a great night and enjoy your holidays. And we'll see you, I believe 2 weeks from tonight will be the first Monday after New Year's. So we'll be,
like that.
We'll have a good topic for that one. So y'all have a good evening.
Hey, Merry Christmas, y'all.
Merry Christmas.